Hey guys, Matty Miller, Pursuit Real Estate, and today we're talking about something that comes up quite a bit in the property management side of things, and it's how do I price my rental? And so we've kind of gone through a few things over the years, and we've seen a lot of changes in our market through the pandemic times. Now we're kind of post-pandemic, and we've had a lot of change. So I've come up with kind of a little strategy that I think will help a lot of people when they're talking about pricing their rental. So stay tuned for more. All right, so I've been doing this for 13 years now, so I want to give you guys context on that. When I first started in Jacksonville, I've always been in one market, so I have not experienced other markets, so I pretty much only speak to the Jacksonville local market, which is why I'm giving you the information. You probably, if you're watching this, have had a property in Jacksonville, currently have a property in Jacksonville, or at some point have a connection to me, have sold or bought property in Jacksonville, or surrounding areas, of course. But one thing that I remember, if I go back to 2007, a regular 3-bedroom, 2-bath home in Jacksonville probably rented in a normal part of town for $1,400, somewhere in that ballpark. So kind of fast forward to 2019, pre-pandemic, prices were kind of creeping up, obviously coming off of the 2009 crash as we kind of worked our way back up. Again, fast forward, that's 14, 15 years later, we saw prices completely go up and up and up and up. And then all of a sudden the pandemic happened and they went farther up. So that same house then, fast forward 12, 13 years later, might be worth, let's say $2,000, let's say $2,200. And what we've kind of seen too, which is the weirder part, and some of you guys have probably heard me talk about the amount of investors that are coming into our market and buying homes and making those rentals. And the only negative part about that is obviously it puts more properties on the market for rentals. So we've actually seen kind of a flood as far as how many rentals are actually in certain areas, which makes it harder to rent. And talking to somebody the other day, and it came out of my mouth, and I said, if you price it reasonably, you will typically find reasonable people to rent your property. The one thing in property management that we always guard against is, I want to say crazy people, and then maybe that's right. But at the same time, you really want to find a quality tenant that wants to take care of your home, that wants to take pride in where they live. And that's a big thing. So I think if you price your rental property as reasonable and you have a reasonable property, it's not a dump. You take care of it. You typically do maintenance on it that needs to happen. You power wash it once a year. You do those things. You just do the things that you would want to do if you were renting a property. The tagline that I'm coming up with is reasonable price. You typically get reasonable people. So if you price things reasonably, you're going to find a good quality tenant is basically what I'm trying to say. And that goes into a lot of things. And I think there's a lot of people that I've seen over the years that have said, hey, I want to get X for this property. And they price it at the super high mark. And they try to find somebody for that highest price and that highest price and that highest price. And what ends up happening is typically they get somebody who's desperate, that's been turned down by multiple other property managers or property management companies. And it's kind of their last resort. So they're willing to pay more money because they were turned down other places. And you may not know that as a landlord or a property manager. You may not know that. You may not know their background. You may get it and you go, well, we don't have anybody else. Well, if you don't have anybody else applying for your property, typically that tells me your price is probably pretty high. But if it's reasonable and it's a decent quality property, you will have people banging down your door to get into that property. That's pretty normal. So basically at the end of the day, if you have a conversation with your property manager or if you're a landlord, do it by yourself kind of guy, totally fine. But keep in mind, if you price things reasonably, that's going to attract somebody who's a reasonable tenant who more than likely will pay the rent on time, take care of the property, and you'll have few and far between issues. And hopefully that'll make your experience as a landlord much, much better. So don't always chase the top dollar. Try to find the right tenant at a reasonable price that makes sense, and you're going to have a lot more success. So that's my opinion. If you guys have any questions or want to pick my brain on that, please let me know. I've been doing this for a long time and have made my own mistakes as well. So I think I'm able to speak on that. So if you guys have any questions, Matty Miller, Pursuit Real Estate, give me a shout. Take care, guys.